Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Felix here. It's Easter Sunday today. I am just dropping in to do an energy update for what's kind of been going on through March and also what's kind of coming up. Um, or what I've kind of been seeing and experiencing over the past month. But before that, we'll just go into some housekeeping on the event side of things. So on the 1st, so tomorrow, I've got Self-Care Monday, 6 p.m. All can be RSVP'd on the website at www.felixhyde.com. We've got Psychic Healing and Development on the 4th. On the 8th, we've got the solar eclipse, full field recalibration, and that's on the 8th at 6 p.m. And then on the 21st, I'm doing an event which is focusing in on gender corrections within the matrix, or gender matrix corrections. And this also interlinks with the Hirogamic union and updates that we've been experiencing through this month, which I will get into. Because March was very intense for me. So I'm guessing it was quite intense for you guys too. And then on the 24th, we've got the group grid session. So as we do, last one was really interesting because we went into Africa, and there was a whole load of slavery templates and Enki overlays that were kind of situated through there, which was real intense and heavy, and quite concealed as well. I have to say, it was needed a lot of unlocking to kind of go through, but I have got the recording up. I just need to put it on my website, and then it can kind of be accessed there under the grid worker tab on the website. So yeah, okay. So March has been kind of unforgiving, but it's also brought a hell of a lot of really great, amazing revelations, amazing developments and growth. So yeah, we'll start at the beginning. So around the 2nd of March, I had connection to Divine Mother Eliza. And within this connection, I felt all of the wounding of my parents and my experience with the parents come up into lift. So from a healer's perspective, any kind of childhood trauma inflicted by the parents really has been kind of brought to the forefront this month to be kind of lifted and cleared. And as the connection to Divine Mother came in so strongly, the kind of basically triggered the kind of awareness of what a true parent or the divine parent is, and how you should be kind of treated like by your earth parents, I suppose. It's that of which is the false parent wounding. So it engaged as when I connected to Eliza, or she connected to me, and this is also happening on a universal level. So it's not just my own interaction, it's an interaction for everyone else. This then brought up all of the wounding of the false parent. And instead of going through it bit by bit, it actually was more so an awareness of realizing that the earthbound parents aren't your real parents, which I'm sure we all kind of know, but this added a new layer of awareness, a layer of understanding to it. So when that kind of set in, it was like every bit of pain that I'd gone through from my own parents that I love them to pieces. Um, but my God, families can really hurt over a long time. So it drew everything up to the surface, and instantly it's like this. You can't hold blame towards them because they're not your true parents and they're not conscious and aware to the same degree that we can be or are as we're going through new levels of generational evolution. So each layer of it impacts the one beneath it because they're coming from a different mindset, they're coming from a different time. And also, they hold you just for a short while. It's like they're given a gift from God to be looked after until it's time to give them back. And I feel like that's when the child comes into fruition as an adult. This is the time when they kind of step into their own and become reconnected, or in most cases, some cases become reconnected, or some cases they don't, um, become reconnected to God. And that's like the kind of reconnection to the true parents. So within that deeper layer of understanding, we've got the truth of the parent being divine mother, divine father, and then source sits above that as the creator. So through that interaction, it kind of spurred on and released all of this kind of old locked in trauma on the mother line, um, and rapidly integrated it. It was utterly, utterly, utterly bizarre. And the extension of this on a collective level, universal level, it's working to bridge the hierogamic union, which then sets a precedent for all of these lower levels, lower tiers, down to the earth plane, down to the kind of physical plane where we become connected to our own internal twin flame. But as that kind of triggers and or connects in, it also issues a correction for all of these layers of imbalance within one's own gender body, gender mind, where the males may be too feminine, the females may be too masculine, or not having the specific characteristics of each that have been or too much of it, which was kind of presented through the earthbound parents as a presentation, which then became kind of inevitable teaching and learning and integration through the child stages of evolution. So this was really interesting to me, how this was kind of coming back online, or not so much back online, because I believe like her first initiation or an instinct came on around the 22nd of Feb 2022. Now, 2 years later on from that, we're then building this kind of rapport of um, acceleration within balance of masculine and feminine qualities and identities, and kind of the sacred marriage. So where we're kind of being thrusted into this experience now, it's then unlocking all of these layers of imbalance within our own kind of hierogamic templates, um, which is really great because it's then kind of pushing us more to come into that harmonized balance because we've unlocked all of this new stuff and able to kind of go through it. So as this was kind of coming up, the interesting thing about this was how much it triggered the Melchizedek line. So the Melchizedek, divine father masculine of this universe, then set the precedent as this feminine divine mother alignment came in. It triggered all of this masculine defect or issue and insecurity where anything the male side was kind of out of balance with allowing a kind of feminine to be there. What I've been noticing is there's a kind of a flow within that masculine line of insecurity and resentment that kind of comes up when this was triggered. And it's almost like a kind of feeling of abandonment melded with multiple layers of kind of jealousy or anger and kind of like nasty behaviors really that were kind of drawn up to the surface as the divine mother hierogamic union was bridged. It triggered that masculine side to kind of purge on many different levels. And again, what I kind of normally do is when something like this happens is just look to my reality to see how this is being projected or reflected to me through projection. So we can kind of work to iron out the creases and just pull things in together and try and work out these traumas surrounding the masculine, allowing the feminine to kind of come back in. Now, which is really interesting because we look at this masculine stuff and then I can directly relate it into the false parent wounding that was kind of triggered through Eliza coming home, which was then released. So I can see how the false parent wounding on the mother side triggered on the personality, the masculine Melchizedek. We're jumping all over the place a little bit here, so just bear with me. We'll get to the point. So this was the very start of March, sorry, and it was super intense. And for a good week or so, not even a week yet, maybe like a week, it was really full on, which then led me into an utterly bizarre incident that happened when I was driving on the motorway on the way to go to my niece's birthday. When I was driving on the right lane of the motorway and the left lane, everything was clear in front of me. The left lane, there was a van towing a caravan, and the wheel popped off the caravan and flew off and hit my car door on the left side. Luckily, nobody was hurt on both sides, but completely totaled my car. It was absolutely crazy how this thing happened, and it kind of pushed me into this really deep. I was actually got really ill afterwards. I was experiencing heavy flu symptoms, which I understand that quite a lot of people were kind of going through that, but I think it was also kind of related to the equinox as well. When we're kind of trying to come back into balance of day versus night, and yeah. So this incident happened, which then triggered up all of these kind of levels of insecurity. And oh my God, I've always thought, I was like, I don't know how the hell I'd handle being in a kind of car accident or a collision or kind of insurance companies. But this was the push that helped me kind of get the logic into gear and was able to kind of communicate to these insurance companies and things like that, where I always thought logic or kind of stage by stage high stress environments of kind of putting things together has never really been my kind of forte. It's just not for me really. I've never kind of wanted to do it, never found an interest in it. And I've always been very resistant to kind of facing these things. But the process of going through that car incident and then having to speak to the insurance whilst I'm on the motorway and things like that. And then afterwards, the aftermath was kind of like putting everything in order. I never, ever, ever wanted to kind of experience anything like that, but I'm so glad that I did because after going through this massive hierogamic shift of masculine and feminine kind of awareness, this kind of thrusted me and catapulted me into a state of um, I can handle this horrific incident, this scary, traumatic incident, and I can do it well. Um, to a point where I'm not kind of getting messed around by insurance companies and um, things like that. So it led to a like quite a drastic level of um, growth in areas that I thought I would never really have to face somewhat. Um, but that just kind of set the precedent of development of the fact that I can do it and I didn't flake. Not that I want to do it again, but at least if I do it again, I'll know how to because there's experience there beforehand. Um, so yeah, this has kind of like really pushed the masculine up a level and up a stage to be able to cope and to be able to handle stressful situations. And that matched with this kind of divine mother, divine parent coming back into alignment. It's significant of that divine parent um, coming back into like a kind of match or a hierogamic union because these true parents are going to be the saving grace that restores the root chakra and repairs the insecurities and the inabilities to kind of function, cope, handle situations. So whenever you are kind of really insecure about certain issues or certain situations or storylines, just connect into those divine parents and just merge them through your first chakra. Because this will run a repair and start releasing out the sequencing of um, high degrees of insecurity, high degrees of kind of fear and fragmentation, not feeling that you're strong enough, not feeling that you're good enough, because they will always kind of come in and support. They will always bring they will bring that which you didn't learn in your childhood, and they'll support you on all of these different levels. Now, there are different ways to kind of go about that. You've got the cosmic parents building the hierogamic union and merge, or you can work with cosmic father and earth mother and bring them down to interconnect and intercept. And because you're bringing the heaven to the earth, you're kind of stabilizing that above, so below flow through your energy system, which then unlocks these unconfident layers of you and brings them back into balance. And it does it really quickly as well, which is the best part. So if you're kind of like really struggling, if you're in the office or something like that, and you've got a real big shitty meeting that you don't want to go to, just focus in on those frequencies and kind of just stabilize your field that way. And it is a real wonder to kind of develop and rebuild this fragmented layer of the root. Um, because then you find yourself becoming a lot more free of kind of thought forms that are kind of going against you, feelings that are going against you, and where you're kind of sitting in stuckness, I suppose. So yeah, that's something that I kind of work on quite frequently, and particularly with clients as well. These connections are are very important, very valid. Aqui eu queria uma semana apura. Okay, so yeah, so following on from that kind of car crash incident, um, came the sickness and the flu. Aqui eu queria uma semana apura. And I'm understanding quite a lot of different people are kind of going through sickness or have been going through sickness prior to the equinox. And I think it's kind of relative for whether you kind of know your energy body or whether you don't. Um, Leading up to these equinoxes, there's usually a kind of physical purge, if not a kind of energetic, emotional, and mental purging that is imperative because we're kind of moving through into a new time cycle, into a new astrological new year, and we want to kind of start the phase off fresh, start the phase off in a kind of state of purity, somewhat. So this was really interesting to me how this kind of big sickness, this big purge came up because as I was going through the equinox and what's been moving around the mind of the collective, every client that I'm working with around that time was all focused on purging persecution. So this big, big, big layer of persecution as the Divine Mother, Divine Father intercepted and connected back in, we've got these kind of persecution levels that are touching in on the feminine, where the feminine has been singled out, has been pushed away, has been kind of rejected. And then we've also got this on the kind of culture side of things as well. So um, I found myself at a stone circle on the equinox with my good friend Syra. Um, and this was, I think it was called Mitcham's Fold or Mitchell's Fold in Shropshire. Um, and it was, oh my God, it was so gorgeous up there. It was so nice. But within this stone circle area, it was just image after image of the druids, the Celtic druids and the druidic families being persecuted, pushed out of their homes and villages, and kind of effectively kind of pushed through a genocide. Um, Now, if we're looking at it from that perspective, we're then looking at the reasons behind it and why. What were the Druids? Why were they kind of persecuted and pushed out? Um, and through deep conversations with Syra and processings, the awareness of the Magic Grail kings and queens came to mind. Um, and they were the original Blue Flame key holders. They held the Christ consciousness. They held all of this kind of amazing spiritual connection, gift, and talent that was the mother line. Um, so we're looking at that level again, where it's always kind of stemming back to like the persecution of the mother. So as we're kind of going into that level and depth, having to kind of work to understand this and process this, this has made it so much more easier to kind of process through with clients because there's always a kind of standpoint, whether it is the druids, the Magic Grail kings, feminine persecution, which then gradually filtered up into the galactic warfare. And a lot of the history actually was coming in through Andromeda and through the Andromedan mother matrix. So when we're kind of understanding this layer of galactic warfare and galactic persecution, it basically kind of stems down to a antichrist versus Christ level, where the antichrist were doing everything they could to kind of stop the benevolent races from kind of creating and seeding um, an angelic human race. Um, yeah, na atiya mas mana ukuratea kia karatea. And as we're kind of working through the understandings of this, how does that impact the body? How does it impact you as an individual down here? Well, if we're looking at the persecution wounds of the blue flame, many of them were horrifically killed, segregated, persecuted, pushed out because they had these wonderful gifts and abilities. And then this would then stem, it would stem into the shutting down of sacred gifts, sacred ability, and the shutting down of your truth. So when we're kind of working through to understand this, we're able to release a lot of, through the understanding and knowing of what the trauma is and how it inflicted pain upon you, what it caused, what it happened to you. We can deprogram these deep-seated um, levels of programming, which essentially contort and lock the divine essence up, lock up the ability to communicate spiritually, lock up the ability to see clearly with your inner vision, and allow these levels of heavy wounding wrapped around with fear and the need to hide yourself and not be seen. So through that, we're then able to kind of get the self moving forwards and becoming more in touch with their innate being, their innate spirituality, and to pull that back into um, a physical embodiment. Okay, yes, and this is the kind of aim of the game, is like these antichrist beings wanted none of this Christic awareness coming on. Now, relaying back to, I think it was January or February, I did the permanent seed atom activation. This has also translated the next level and development of awareness, not just mine, it's not just my doing. I did it because I was guided, but what was going on a planetary level, the permanent seed atom moved into an acceleration of light for it to open. Now, this also impacted many layers of the collective, particularly those who meditate a lot and who are quite psychic and highly spiritual. It's allowing the intuition to accelerate at a much more rapid pace and become a lot more active and open. Now, where that opened before, or we worked on opening it before in, I think it was in February. Now, through March, we've had monadic light connections, monadic light field connections, or the higher self fields kind of moving in through to embodiment, which has then accelerated the opening of Christ awareness. We've got Divine Mother connecting in, creating harmony and balance on these higher tier levels which then filter down into the opening, not the opening, it's already open, but the accelerated development of herogomic union within. So we're looking at the Michael, the Mary wing repair and bridging the higher levels to the higher field to lower field, which develops the herogomic union within. Now, this then has a knock-on effect for the permanent seed atom lotus flower or crystal lotus that sits at the thymus gland, that sits at the gland of the heart. This opens further and then moves into an embodiment of this Divine Mother, blue ray, blue flame. It's more of an aquamarine, but it's a different story for a different time. Coming into the lotus flower. So as that kind of sets in, expands and opens, the activates the crystal lotus body, which then brings on more embodiment of the Christed monadic light intelligence, monadic awareness, can actually feel that all through my thymus, almost like a cracking or a tightening. Okay. So as this is turning on, this then brings me to another layer of kind of this gender correction herogomic union clearing that I'll be, or restructuring that I'll be doing on the 21st, is what is the cosmic clock? Now within the cosmic clock, this holds a bunch of kind of time codes that sit within the tree of life that raise as the cosmic clock anchors into the tree of life. This, which has been happening for a while now, but we're now moving into a more accelerated level of, it's been happening for about 2 years from what I'm understanding. For no, it has been happening before those 2 years, but it really ramped up with 2 years ago on the February date. Okay. So, I lost my train of thought there. Or lost my channel. Bridging it back in. So as this diamond, this lotus heart or lotus body opens up and embodies this blue flame, blue ray consciousness, or the Divine Mother consciousness, this then accelerates the cosmic clock time codes, which then allow us to access higher levels of or more information coming in from the different dimensional fields. So we get more information coming in about the aspects of ourselves sat within those dimensions. Okay. And this is important because as the Eleazar Melchizedek herogomic union develops, this is also opening um, a much more stronger connection to the God worlds. So within the God worlds, this will basically act as a kind of seed point or a stem of the Emerald Order. So where the Emerald Order where the Emerald Order were kind of created, I believe, created from the the initial spiral of the Emerald Order and the I always get this confused now. I need to look back over my notes. Spirals of aquamarine and emerald rays, sorry, move in and start to reconstruct the DNA matter that merges into the system or evolves through the system, which then brings the awareness of the rise of the Emerald Order back into form. Nios Mana Okura. Okay, yes, Mana Okura. So this is important of this time as we're kind of now being able to embody more of this light, more of this awareness, but really kind of accelerate who we are as true spiritual beings. It's developing and evolving us at much more accelerated format from now, I guess. Um, I personally feel that we're kind of going to go through like what we did with 2020 to 2023 is we kind of went on a kind of rapid upward curve plateau in the 2021 to 2022 and then come back down or perceive that we've come back down. We've just kind of on a physical format, we kind of just like level out because we've been able to embody and integrate what we've kind of gone through and experienced to be able to kind of manage and handle it, and then the kind of storyline filtered out. Now, what I feel is we're kind of going through that same pattern, but this time we've taken it up a notch, what it feels like to be taken up 10 notches actually. And then going through that hurdle again to then reach the point of 2027 and then jumping up the next stage or ladder from that. This is kind of what I'm interpreting with it at the moment, subject to change, I guess. Um, but as we kind of go along, we'll intuitively see and know how everything's kind of moving and how it's kind of getting from A to B, I guess. So that was kind of what I've been experiencing within March. It was very full on. Um, I guess we'll see what April brings. So without further ado, let's jump into a short meditation and just start breathing in those aquamarine spirals and emerald rays through the grand central sun. And as those spirals, the spirals and rays are coming in from the first God world and the light through the grand central sun, we're just going to see these firmly plant a blue and emerald ray spiral, which is then moving into an emerald tree of life. allow this to grow into full fruition. And we're going to anchor the cosmic clock to the emerald tree, anchoring the 12 point into the 8D sphere of the tree of life. The 6 point on the clock to the 5D sphere on the tree. The 3 o'clock point on the 7D. And the 9 o'clock on the 6th tree of life, Yakadem Yasmana Oshun Okura. And just hold focus on this imagery. Resurrection. God World Opening, Emerald Guardians, and Yakura Masmana Ashiyakura. Primal sound. Vibrations. Body turns emerald. The DNA updates. 48 strand. Anchor into physical form. Moyokura Dea Sna Ashiyakura. Uyakura Dea Terania. Full body unlocking, full body release. Separation releasing. Amnesia releasing. Niyakura Mas Yakura. Persecution releasing. Diamond Sun shield building. Pearlescent iridescent architecture updating. Dolphins. Water. Divine Mother Eliza. Eros Gamos, Divine Union. Melchizedek. Blue Flame. Golden Unk. Ta. Ma. Ka. Solar Rings Building. Akiokura Asmana Ashokura. Flash with Encryption. King Arthur. Rising. Taking his throne. Sword out of the stone. Celtic Cross. Solar Cross. Akiokura Domesha Odora. Christ is risen. Nayukura Mas Niakura. Grandmaster Architect update the field. Diakura Mas Niakura. Spine of Albion. Yellow Gold Phoenix Bird Rising. Silver Ash. Putrefaction. Nayukura Mas Manakura. Vertical alignment. Lifting out the pain. Nayas Manakura. Grief releasing. Grief purging. Nayotaya Mosmono Oshodo Kiakarataya. Diana Onyamo Ukura Doyo Shosun Yukura Diakaradaya. Atom body developed. Niyasmono Ukura Akiakadadia. and just clear out that heavy persecution of using your own gifts. Perfect timing on Easter Sunday, really, to be addressing this. Yes, Manal Quarter. And just extend out unconditional love to all those parts of yourself. That have gone through such heavy, heavy, heavy abuse, persecution, wounding, limitation of Christ consciousness through the abuse and bullying models. Let's invite them home, bring them home. Home is where the heart is. Thick layers of numbness release. Depression releasing. Hypervigilance releasing. Complex post-traumatic stress releasing. Individually, collectively, monadically. Nayos ma'o kyogura adios nashnayan. All layers of the universal time matrix. Okay. Let's bring them back in. Going to update through all fields, update through all localized grids, move forward to seal forward now through all levels of layers of light, through all bodies and through the breath of the divine I am. Such a pleasure working with you again today, connecting with you all. I'll see you either tomorrow, I'll see you on the 4th, the 8th, the 21st, or the 24th, whatever feels right to you. Just sending out loads of love. Happy Easter. Bye.